Go.
Okay. This is really unbelievable. Tricky mate. Hello? What the hell is that? Oh my god. Tom just made it. Oh my goodness. This is really unbelievable. Hello everyone and welcome to Take It to the Max show with Grandmaster Max Dlugy. And today, as every Sunday, I'll be playing in the 5-minute pool. I'm starting with Chuchundra, and that is actually a bit of a, I think it's like a Russian type of animal or something. So whoever he is from the United States looks like he's been to Russia at some point to be able to call himself Chuchundra. In any way, let's see how this King's Indian classical variation works out. This is kind of a book position. He seems to be knowing exactly what he's doing, but I can't say that I don't know what I'm doing. So it will be quite interesting to see how this King's Indian works out for both of us. This is an interesting move. Where should I put my queen? Should I suppose c7 is logical, right? c7 it is then. And now, what should my plan be? I guess bring the knight to c5 to start out, and maybe start moving the other knight. Okay, now this is interesting. She's gonna play knight c2, attacking my pawn on d6, and I should probably be ready for that at some point. Okay. And I put my queen on e7 so I can x-ray the e file with d5. So, if need be. If the need arises, I can try for d5 at some point. But on knight c2, maybe just bishop f8 for now. Unless I have some indirect way. Maybe knight fd7. Okay, let's try knight fd7 to play a3. If he takes. If white takes, maybe I can play a3. This is a smart move. But now I'm going to put my bishop on e5. That way on f4, e4 will be hanging, so that's a smart move too. Okay. Some smart chess is being played here. This is a strange move because h6 and bishop f4. Strange. Okay, I can also play queen g7. Okay, maybe just h5 for now, just to stop knight g4. Maybe I should have played h6 and then h5. Hard to say. Tough position. Very interesting. Very interesting position going on here. Okay, let me now change the bishops around, the knights around rather. And now maybe knight c5, the other knight here. Queen h6 is possible. Okay, let's bring the other knight to c5. think I'm doing okay here. I got the control of dark squares, many of them anyway. Okay. And probably just queen h6 here. Makes sense to me to just control this knight movement. Okay, now there's some weaknesses maybe I can work on. Complicated position. Let's go knight g5 to stop f4, to maybe get the knight to h3. Okay, that's what I wanted. Get the knight to h3. That should bother my opponent a bit. Very complicated game. Kind of expecting bishop e1, and then I can maybe just play, I don't know, queen g7, or maybe queen g7, something, yeah. So with on f4 I can take on c3 and take on e4. Knight e1. Okay, then I can definitely play h4. Okay, this one was my plan anyway. That was my plan. Okay, now my piece. Well, what is going on? Oh, I see. Why can't I just take the rook? I can, right? Why not put the bishop to work a bit first? Let's get the bishop to work. This is looking good now. Suddenly this is looking really hot for white, for black. Knight g3 this is a threat. Can't take my knight. Can take his rook next move. Okay, let's open up the H file. Knight f2 is a threat. Okay, this looks like I broke through. Chuchundra's been downed, I believe. With the H file open, I can take on c3 and just move my queen to h6 with new beautiful threats. Tough game. Tough game. Interesting to see what was actually happening here. Well, I suppose it's like a typical King's Indian. Okay, next, Maestro ASK. And another, not this is a Russian player. Okay, let's play King's Indian. Oh, this is like a little. Okay, I'll play into Black's idea of some weird, slightly weird move order. King's Indian. Oh, really? Okay, this should be punished a bit. Okay, I'm gonna play with d5, threatening pawn takes pawn, and then just gonna play. I'm just gonna play for the f4 break. Okay, that I don't care about that much. Things had to happen anyway. Okay, and f4. Fine. Here I am. Let's grab that one. Grab this one. Okay, the opening started, I would say, auspiciously for white, but maybe not so great. I suppose I should double on the F file to start off the process. Yeah, here my doubled friends, and let's try to break through immediately. G4, G5. This is black's weakness. If my rooks get in, it could be dangerous for black, and that's what black maybe has not really seen here. Just breaking through to F7. That's all I want, guys. Trying to keep it simple and civil. 2 point. My rook's coming on the 7th. It will be goodbye, my friend. The problem with easy looking lines of development, which are kind of retarded in development here, because black spent so much time actually getting what he wanted that he doesn't have enough tempi to just stop my infiltration with the rooks. This is a problem. Bishop h6, bishop takes c1, that's 2 moves. c6, then c5, that's 1 extra move. I mean, black did spend a bit too much time, so it should not be surprising that there's serious punishment that can be doled out. I think black has a pretty much hopeless position at this point, but we'll see if he can come out with some ideas of defense. Taking on g4, rook takes f7, rook takes b7, or not even that, just knight b5 followed up by knight takes d6 should be crushing. G5, I'll play rook f6. The knight will have to go somewhere, and then I'll go into f7. Those lines don't look too appetizing for black. Maestro, ASK, or ask, is thinking, and there's good reason for it. Okay, how does that work? I have no idea. Oh, I see. He wants to play bishop h3 to give up the knight. I understand. That's a cool idea, and you know what? I'm not going to stop it, because that's just life. Oh, that. Well, you know. Fine. Okay, extra stuff. Okay, I'm going to just play it like I'm a piece up. Create an infiltration square and get in there. Bishop d3. I see. Black wants to attack me on g5, so maybe I should just be prepared for that. Let me just prepare for that by playing rook g1 whenever it's needed. Maybe now is a good time just to stop h6. And let's move in to attack black's weaknesses, which is at this point the pawn on f5. Okay. Why don't I put my bishop here and check this guy away, and let's move into g4 if we can. Is this dangerous? Doesn't look dangerous, but who knows. Looks like black should be losing very soon. Rook e1 is about to happen, and so forth. Okay, let's get in there. And let's just attack this pawn, I think. Make it simple, right? Yeah. Black is running out of ideas. And usually that's the situation when you're a piece down. You just run out of ideas eventually. You have less pieces to work with. Okay, why can't I take? Knight e4, rook e7, bishop f3, rook e7. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. Oh, no. There's a trick. He wants to go f2. With some chances to survive, although very tricky chances, but still some. It's a bit unfortunate. It's not so simple. So let's trade down the bishops. Now bishop isn't doing much on h5. With the bishop's gone, it should be simpler. Bishop takes bishop, knight takes bishop, blocking all the pawns. Black can win a little bit of material, but then the position will be lost. Let's say rook takes knight, pawn takes, rook takes bishop, rook takes rook, bishop takes, and rook takes e4. That position is just hopeless. Now the knight should be blocking the pawns. I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up anything here. So h4 is defended now. And then I can play knight e3 and block all these pawns. Now the pawns are blocked and I can start improving the position of my pieces. Rook g4, rook f1. No, we'll start with rook f1. Rook g4, next. King takes, h5, king f4, knight f5. I think I've improved my position enough for black to resign already. No, knight takes pawn, and black resigned. Okay, I mean, very interesting. I think in terms of what was happening. Okay, black is already. Look at this. Black already gave up a tempo. Basically, c6 is not the optimal move in this position. And then comes this strange f6 idea. I immediately say, okay, what do you want? d5. What do you want? Do you want to play c5 or do you want me to open up the position when you played f6? Black said, no, I want to keep it closed. Okay, then I transfer my knight so my bishop can go to g4 and my knight can support the central activity on d3. Black decides to spend time to exchange the bishop, which he doesn't have much scope at this point. So he trades, but that takes time. Now I'm ready to play f4, and I do. And black is hard to develop. The knight on g8 it doesn't have any squares. h6 is covered by my queen, basically, right? So he takes, and the only way to really get his pieces out is to play e5. But then, after knight e5, he's caught in a problem, because if he takes to the f pawn, he can never castle. Can't really cross the f file. And so he takes with the queen, but then we get descending. And I simply start by doubling rooks. If I play rook f1 and rook f7, I will be completely encroaching on black's position. He plays king e7 to play knight h6, but after g4 it's clear that I'm going to infiltrate. And now black decides to sack the piece, which is simply not enough. I don't play h4 because that will, after h6 my g pawn could be weak, and black could get some counter chances by attacking it. So my first order of business is to fortify the g pawn so that black doesn't even try. Black tries something on the queen side, but I don't even understand what it is, so I just wait. And then I start repositioning my pieces, moving my knight into e3. He stops me, but then I find other good squares for the pieces. I put my bishop on h5 and to kick the king back, and I force the pawns up where they will be weaker. My knight goes to g4 from where it heads to f6. I simply go rook g3 to get a little bit more active with my rooks, and then move my knight in. Black defends, and I play rook e1. I could have played bishop g4 immediately, I suppose, but I decided to attack the pawn head first. Black moves out with the interesting ideas of knight takes pawn. He tries to pin me down the e-file, and that could lead to just a winning rook and pawn ending for me, which I didn't want. So I decided to trade bishops, which he had to accept. But now, first another prophylactic move, king h3, to stop any kind of ideas about rook takes h4, and then just a blockade. And now black just has to wait, and once I reposition my pieces, I start trading rooks. Then my king becomes very active, and after knight f5, everything's over. Okay, I think I'm getting a little bit of a break. 1957 rated opponent. I have good chances, I think, considering I was just handling some pretty tough competition. This could be easier. Okay, let's see. Let's attack the b pawn. See how black handles this. 3 basic moves here for black. b6, queen c8, and queen b6. Okay, not the worst, I would say. Queen c8. I think objectively it is the best move, in fact. But now I'm threatening to take on d5 and to play knight b5 after that. That, I'm not sure if that actually defended against that threat, so knight b5 is huge. And I think it's pretty much game over at this point. Black had to play moves like a6 to stop knight b5, which of course is a loss of a tempo. Added to queen c8, white which should get a slight advantage just because black kind of spent a couple moves procrastinating in the opening. Okay, well, this is not a happy position for black, obviously, but how to best use this advantage is always an interesting issue. I think I should just develop my knight, see how black squirms under pressure here. I can always play knight d6, but if I add knight g5, ooh, a5. Okay, knight g5, bishop g6, bishop d3, something like that. I'm really trying to hit different targets at the same time. And here. Now f7 is hit again. And black is in, could be in trouble. Can throw in bishop b4 check, but after king f1 the problems will continue. Maybe even king e2, but I think king f1. a4, that I didn't even consider. Okay, queen all the way back, king here. Now it's black's turn to actually answer the big question. How do you defend f7? Oh, that's a cool move. h6 and on bishop g6. Excellent. I think black answered the question to my satisfaction or dissatisfaction, unless I have bishop d6, which should be kind of cool. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Bishop d6, moving my bishop out of trouble while hitting his bishop. I'm still thinking about bishop takes g6 and bishop takes f7. And on bishop takes d6, my knights combine their power to take on f7. So problematic for black again. Alright, now knight f7 could be a possibility, except I have it been checked. I'm sorry, been checked here. Okay, I think black should take the knight and then try to figure out how to live with that position. But then my knight's threatening to go to d6. And black's king is still in more trouble than his colleague, my king on f1. Okay, so that on knight d6 there's simply queen d7. Cool. Black is playing well, considering the start. And otherwise knight is going to c4, so I really should hurry. Okay, I guess I should bring my knight to d6, and then how do I do this? Black's played so well, it's crazy. Black's played too well. Too well here. Alright, well, I gotta get some pieces out here. Yeah, unfortunately that's true. Okay, I'm gonna keep my knight. I'm gonna keep my knight around for now. Yeah, and keep it around to cover my king, just in case. Okay, h4 then. Really not much now for white in this position. That's crazy. Now the knight's going to e4. My bishop's not really doing so much here, huh? I'm going to take my bishop and just start playing a different kind of game here then. But black has successfully equalized this really bad position he had. This is amazing. This is amazing. This guy is playing better than all these other 2500s. How does he do that? Okay, let's get our queen active again. Okay. Trying to see if we can get any kind of weaknesses from this guy, ever. If he's... Okay. And you know what? Maybe... No, king... Okay, I'm going to try to kind of improve my knight to f4. I don't know if that's even a good idea. I don't know if it's even a good idea. I'm gonna try anyway. Okay. All right. Why is he playing so fast all of a sudden? Interesting. Let's suck. Playing so fast, that's crazy. Okay, I think I have to play fast against this guy too. Okay, computer assistance, if this is what's happening here, is also, you have issues with that because you can't really use it all the time. You get down on time. If that's what happened here, then that's what happened here. If not, then black played an extremely good game on his own, got short on time, and then unfortunately it didn't work out. But we go back and look at what happened in the opening. Until then, the problem is here that after knight b5, black has to solve the c7 problem, and he played king d8, an amazing move. Of course, I could just play knight d6 and be happy with the bishop pair plus a bad king, but I wanted more, so I played for the maximum I could. But then black played this excellent move a5, actually probably the best move in the position. Here I didn't really notice how strong that was, and because had I noticed I would have played knight d6, but I played knight g5, and now black could have actually started with bishop b4 check, I suppose, forcing my king to some bad square before my bishop moves. So I'm not sure black actually was helped by anyone here. In any case, the game became extremely complicated. Okay, here we go. Crypto Chess USA. Good luck. Okay, we have a Sicilian Richter Rouser. F4. Okay, what's the problem with F4? Probably some move like H6 to get this bishop somewhere, and then we hit the knight. And the idea being that now knight b3 loses the f pawn to queen e3 check, and otherwise we have this poison pawn idea, which should be okay for black, although who knows how good it's supposed to be now. Okay, my queen pins the knight, trying to defend this knight c7 check. I know I should be okay, but memory goes first, I believe. So, having recently celebrated my 50th birthday, I am actually forgetting some cool variations that I used to know back in the day. But in any case, knight c7, king d8, knight takes rook, queen takes knight looks very, very interesting for black, and very, very bad for white. Otherwise, knight e4 is a threat, and otherwise knight c7 can be stopped by queen a5. Next move, and I am a pawn up. So all that taken together, okay, well, now the threat has been stopped already, and now a new threat occurs, which is a6. That's a new threat that wasn't there before because of knight c7. Okay, now I can actually still play a6, and on pawn takes knight, go there, but I can also just take the pawn, which doesn't really change anything. If black wants to take, if white wants to take, then I can play knight e4. I can play knight e4 now, which also looks very strange. So I can take and then play knight e4. Okay, I'm going to develop my bishop. So I'm taking first. But I think white's just completely lost here. Okay. Okay, knight takes pawn, knight e4. All these moves look really hot. Knight d5. Why not knight d5? Solidifying my knight, right? On a nice square. And threatening something very, very big. Okay. This is why. Yeah, this is why. This is why. The only reason not to do it was that. Okay, now I'm only 2 pawns up. That's a shame. a6. Yeah, I have to just do this now. That was a shame. Oh, well, yes. Check. And develop my pieces. Oh, white's not interested in just that. Okay, fine. Then let's go with queen d4. Yeah, tough position for white. Down 2 pawns, and bad pawn structure, uncastled king. Okay, this is a possible move. Doesn't actually threaten much, and I can take the pawn and take the pawn on e3. But why? Why should I do that, right? Why don't I just finish my development? The queen isn't running anywhere. She plays. Okay, well now I'm gonna take the queen and play a6 and rook a7. Now the knight's a bit in a bit of a jam. Okay, that's cool, but the pawn on a3, knight d4, so many choices. Okay, knight d4, the pawn on a3. What do I do? Pawn on a3 actually allows him to castle, which brings in his rook. So I'm gonna play knight d4 and go for a little more. Especially while he has this problematic knight on c7. I can play knight f5. Okay. White resigned. Okay, I mean this was got a little interesting here, because this f4 move, I think the theoretical idea here is that black should play h6. It's really to stop white from protecting the f4 square. And after bishop h4, queen b6 creates a problem, because now if the knight moves from d4, I have queen e3 check, and f4 is now hanging thanks to this h6 move. So white can't just continue bishop e2. I'll just take the pawn f4. And this move looks active, but the question is this position tactically solid for white? And after knight b5, queen b4, turns out that it's not that solid, because first of all, white can't carry through with his threat knight c7, because after king d8, taking the rook just loses lots of different kinds of material. After queen takes knight check, white has to go king e2, and that's just really bad. And if white plays something like rook b1, I play queen a5, simply protecting the only threat that white has in the position, similar to a3, which is what happened. And now white has to figure out how to proceed with his attack, but really there's no attack. There's just a knight on b5, not really threatening to do anything because it's pinned to the knight on c3. So e5 is a kind of a cry in the dark, because it doesn't really help. Knight d5. Okay, I could have played knight d4, maybe a stronger move, stopping the move that white played, queen d2, but it's not really an issue because after knight takes knight, white also loses the e5 pawn, whether he takes with the knight or the queen. And okay, this was just a mop-up operation. I decided not to trade queens myself until I was hit and forced to do it, and now I'm threatening to even win the third pawn on a3, and now the knight on c7 is stuck, pawn is hit on a3, and I just played knight d4 because I thought if I stop white from castling, then his rook won't even come in to the game, and meanwhile I'm threatening to do stuff like b5, and after that knight f5, hitting the bishop off that diagonal that's supporting the knight. Knight f5, bishop f4, g5, bishop e5, f6, and eventually the bishop would be off that diagonal. So I think white decided to resign pretty much correctly here. Let's see if we have any other takers here in the 5-minute pool. I'm trying to build my rating back to 2700, although it's not that easy. Everybody knows stuff. Everybody knows stuff these days. Look at that, 1900. Played the best game of all. Oh my god. Now I have almost the year 2014. So let's see how this game goes. Let me try to start an attack on the king side. Okay, let's get that guy and castle away. All right. All right, let's see. How should I play this position? This is interesting. Why don't I play f4? I think once I get rid of this dark squared bishop, I should play as actively as possible. Okay, that actually helps me develop. That's good. That's good stuff. Okay, now d4 is controlled by my knight, so I can actually just play d5 and take here. Okay, now what's happening is I think I should bring in some more pieces to bear on black's position, but how, I don't know. Maybe rook f1 makes sense, just to see if I can. Okay, black is running, and he's right, I think, to be running. Now g4 to stop any kind of breakouts. Okay, that's a good move for black. Let me also improve my knights, as black is spending some time improving his. My knight from f3 will be supporting lots of good stuff. Yeah, well, I'm gonna play queen g2 and knight f3. I think queen h4 isn't such a great move, but okay. It doesn't really change much, I would say. I like my queen more on g2 than on d2 in this case. Okay, then let's see, what should I let's start. Okay, now black wants to play b4, which I am absolutely not against. I just have to decide how to support the e pawn. Okay, let's do it with this rook. My thinking is that black weakens himself on the queen side. That's where I go. Okay, good idea. Kind of trying to padlock the position. So on h5, black wants to play g5. Okay, let me wait a bit. Black is playing very smart. I'm getting best competition from players that are rated more than 600 points lower than me, and somehow that's the case today. Okay, now let's hit that B pawn. Logical. Okay, let's try to see what black has in mind. Aha, ignoring me because he wants to play b4 simply. Okay, let's bring the rook up. Okay. Not okay. Now if knight d1, looks good. I'm not sure black is breaking through here. Okay, and I'm defending myself here for now. For now, I'm just defending. But one day I will start attacking. For example, queen h2 should bring some troops back. Some of black's troops back. Aha, he's not bringing back. Okay. My knight is doing nothing on f3, so let's reposition it to defend some stuff on d2. It's actually doing something. It was actually protecting the d4 square. Okay. Very interesting position. Okay, so let me go here to move my rook to f2 and then move my knight to e3. I don't know what's going on, but black is playing a good game, but I'm also in it. I'm also in it at this point. In it to win it, hopefully. A bit locked up, but more locked up positions have been broken through. I'm planning to go for a win, guys. No Mr. Nice Guy today yet. Okay, let's go. My knight's coming. Whose king is safer, huh? Interesting. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Check first, I guess. And take this guy. Wow. Okay, got rid of one knight. Looks like my knight's actually stronger than his now. Now let's hit that knight on c5. Now what's going on if I sacrifice? I think I'm winning with knight h6 here. Well, I'm going to try it. Knight takes h6. Here I come. Check, 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 and here. I want to play rook f8, mate. Simply said mate, and rook f7, threatening lots of different nice things. That was the end of my calculation anyway. But maybe I should have seen more, I don't know. Knight takes pawn, I agree, but then I can play h6. That will make sure the king, the queen, the king, rook never moves, and then just take this one. Now I'm gonna win with the deep c pawn. I don't really need anything else. On knight c3 I can just play king a1. I don't think that rook will escape the wrath of my queen. Very interesting position, I mean game, but black is still playing. Okay, well, you know, I'll try to make it simple. c7. Okay. Okay, let's see what happened there. So initially the position was quite interesting. Here we had this kind of a perk defense, and now I played f4. My thinking was, without the dark squared bishops, I should be attacking, and should be having good chances of making black's king weak, which actually turned out to be exactly the case in the game, right? This move I don't agree with, because I think even though it's kind of good to get rid of that bishop, I'm not sure that it's really helpful to develop white's pieces like that. I don't know, maybe e5 instead. Anyhow, we got to this position and black played e5. Fine. I could have ignored it for now. I could have just improved my position like rook f1 or rook e1. Maybe rook f1 was actually a better alternative to what I did, but I decided to change the pawn structure like so to start hitting the king. So here already I may be threatening rook takes f6 followed by queen h6. Black moves the knight wisely away. Now I don't know why I didn't play d6. d6 looks really hot. After d6, if black takes, I take him with the queen, and he doesn't have a knight move. And if he plays knight c6, then I think pawn takes pawn just wins. I think d6 just won on the spot here. So knight d7 was a mistake. Knight e8 was what black should have played, and we may have transposed to the game, but knight d7 was just horrible, and of course g4 is just as horrible, and missing the shot that kills instantly. Anytime you have a doubled sort of a battery of a queen and rook, look to expand it and hit black's forces. I mean, it may just be the end of the game, as is the case here. Anyway, missing d6, I played g4, and now black is back in the game. This was what happened. Okay, I have a second chance against Maestro. Let's see if we can. This time I'm black, and he's playing the. Should I just play g5 here? Is that the big move? Okay. I do not remember these lines. These lines are complicated, but I guess my opponent knows exactly what he's doing, which is kind of a shame. What should I do? What is the big deal here? What is the big deal? What if I just put play e6 to stop knight d5? How does this position develop? Okay, and if I play, for example, knight c6, okay, well, and let's say bishop h6, trying to get at white's insides here. Trying to attack on the dark squares. Okay, here I have a check. That's a cool idea. So that's what black had in mind, white had in mind. So now if I take on e3, knight takes c5, queen takes a2, I suppose, but who knows. And if I temporize with a move like d6 or b6, then what happens? I don't know. I'm going to play b6 and look for what happens here. Maybe I'm playing this way. Yeah, I was worried about something completely different. I was worried about d5 followed by b4. This I'm not that worried about. On the other hand, it's also a smart move, huh? d5 followed by b4. That's an issue. I need to make my escape, I think. Alright, let's escape. Otherwise, d5 and b4 wins my queen. I think white could have done something similar to that. Now my queen at least will run to h5. So white's thinking about something devious. I don't know what he's thinking about. cd? Is that what it is? Fine. How devious is that? Okay. Now I should might. Well, I'm gonna defend anyway. Defend my straight h pawn. Not sure how to evaluate this position. I think it's kind of balanced, even though this knight is coming to haunt me on the dark squares. Should I just castle? I should just get away from there. Maybe play for f5. Okay. Okay, bishop b7 or maybe knight b4. Maybe knight b4 is correct. Okay, this one I'm willing to grab. Okay, now definitely bishop b7. Now I'm actually happy. I see the light of the day here. I think I'm doing well. Finally, with two bishops, how bad could it be? Okay, this is cool actually, but okay, I'm not going to give black the possibility of opening up all my pieces. Yeah, g4 I shouldn't have. I should have looked at harder. This is a tough move to miss actually. Okay. I have some ideas on my own too. Like the knight h4 I can now take, I think. I should be okay to take on g5. In other words, I'm thinking about playing d5 here. And opening up my pieces too. Interesting position still. Queen e2, pawn takes pawn, knight h4 would trap my queen, but I will. Okay, how about this, then that. That's smart. Now let's try to open up the f file. What an interesting game, hmm? All of a sudden. Okay. Grab onto that baby. That's a big baby. g4 is being threatened. I'm beginning to not like white's position. Okay. Pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, rook takes knight, rook takes queen h4 check. Looks like very strong. Can also do it later. Queen h4. What? No time to waste here. Okay, let's just do it simple. Why am I doing it like that? Why did I do it like that? Oh, that was just suicidal almost. Why did I do it like that? I don't know. I was completely winning and I misplaced my pieces. Oh boy, that was really silly. That was just silly. Yeah, I don't know what to do now. That was just idiotic, actually. I calculated a variation and then I didn't do it. And then I just did not do it. Crazy. Now who knows what's going on here. Oh god. Now time will just decide who wins. It'll be a timed issue here. And who knows. Who knows what will happen. Oh. Okay, I won on time. That's why I was a bit silent for a moment. Whew, what a tough game. Actually, that was really idiotic. What I did at one point, I had at this point, I had noticed that I'm winning some material around here. But with the right mover, pawn takes pawn, knight takes, rook takes knight, rook takes and queen check, but then knight g3, bishop takes rook, and then I did it the wrong way. So here the right move was pawn takes pawn, then rook takes knight, and then queen h4 check. That would have won material. Instead I took the knight. Oh well. Anyway, this was a very exciting game and I'm glad you guys watched. And this is another, this is the second time that I managed a perfect score in the 5-minute pool. So join me next time to see how I do again. And this was Grandmaster Max Dlugy with Bobbing, with Take It to the Max show. And good luck to all of you guys. Take care and bye-bye.